Crypto kids, welcome back to the channel. Today, the price of Bitcoin alongside the crypto market in general is experiencing a it's a drop that's literally happened over the past 2 hours. Last night, there were signs of weakness on the charts. But to me, these signs of weakness where you drift around support, usually it's not so concerning when it's the weekend because we know it's a period of low volatility. But in this case, this morning, we saw a drop below the support line here, and we came down to the $12,000 mark for Bitcoin. Ethereum came down to almost the $4,000 mark that we've been expecting very, very closely. And in this stream, I want to cover the markets because the markets look quite interesting. Okay, macro obviously for Bitcoin, when you go into the macro, everything is superb, right? The trend is still bullish, but in the 4 hourly time frames, the daily time frames, warning signs. Okay, and I want to talk to you about those warning signs on today's show. We had significant amounts of resistance. Honestly, I did have hope that we could break to the upside, but we couldn't. So this inverse head and shoulder now goes in the bin, and I'm very sorry about that. But the bin is right now filled up with the inverse head and shoulder pattern. That no longer exists because it doesn't make sense to me in my personal analysis. Thankfully, though, in terms of bot trading, I've been opening a bunch of bots as a hedge to my derivatives long positions on weeks that I've been keeping since $77,000. So what I've been doing with my Pinex bots, I'm just going to quickly check the stream if it's there. Perfect. Guys, as you're coming in, make sure to destroy the like button. It would be very much appreciated if you do so. On Pinex, I've been opening bots to buy Bitcoin if we were to see a drop to the downside. Because, yeah, we had that bull case scenario with the inverse head and shoulder, but also we mentioned that there were warning signs post FOMC, including a bearish divergence here on the 4 hourly time frame. So look, bearish divergence, bearish divergence. Levels that I said I would be expecting for Bitcoin, and the bot that I opened on the Moonshow channel, it had a range of all the way down to 107.2, 107.3, as that's the worst possible case scenario for Bitcoin to drop to based off of my analysis. So if Bitcoin were to drop, then this bot would buy the dip all the way down to 107.5. And obviously, if we see a drop below 107.5, because in the macro that would be catastrophic, I would exit that bot, and I would also exit my long positions on weeks, which are macro positions. So overall, I would be in a profit. This bot is just in the case that because the macro is still bullish, if we can see a bounce at one of these levels, then this bot will be profitable as it sells all the way to the upside. I am still expecting one more leg to the upside for this bull market. September is always horrible, let's be honest, but at least October is beginning in 9 days' time. That's something to be looking forward to. But I think this bot will do well. I'm still confident in this bot. If you want to try trading bots alongside your derivatives trading, then you can go to the Pinex link in the description down below. It's the second link in the description if you want to sign up. Deposit $100, get $100 free to try these trading bots like we've been trying on the Moonshow and Crypto Kid channels. The altcoin ones, that's for the long term. We can go into those charts. Like Dogecoin, it's going to be buying the dip for Dogecoin. If it goes lower, we will go into the individual TAs for these altcoins. But specifically for alts, it's fine because it will keep on buying the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Because the macro is bullish for all of these altcoins and Bitcoin. The point is to try and buy as it comes to the downside, and then obviously sell in the macro during altcoin season and Bitcoin's final leg to the upside. On my CryptoKit account, this is for the Moonshow. I was logged in with the Moonshow one. I do another Bitcoin bot, which had a range of buying until the neckline of the inverse head and shoulder. So that's what I want to cover. When we go into the short-term time frame, the levels we were expecting with that RSI bearish divergence were down to 12.5. So we went to 12. We went all the way to 12. I said 12.5 because of the neckline here of the prior inverse head and shoulder created during the final week of August, going into the 10th of September. We wicked below it, but actually so on Binance we came to 11.8. We wicked below it, but we're holding just above that level of that 12.8, 12.5, 12K area, which was the prior resistance of this neckline of the inverse head and shoulder. We found good supports. We are at good supports. We do have a good chance of holding it. It's all going to depend on this 4 hourly candle. I am very upset when I go into the more intermediate analysis, when we go into the more intermediate charts. It is quite upsetting that on the daily time frame, we saw the rejection here. I don't think this wick, us going just a few $100s above the prior swing high created, is enough to flip the trend. That's what upsets me, because technically, when you go to this macro, you're still in a downtrend. And us highlighting a lower low at that point where there was significant resistance, and I mentioned we have to be careful alongside the volume, there was also very significant resistance from volume. It's just not good. You know, I don't like when that happens. It's not a good sign. I'm just trying to find the volume tool. I always lose it. It's where is it gone? There it is. The fixed range volume. So if we do this, will it load? Come on, Bitcoin. Yep, so look, volume, tremendous amounts of resistance from the mid-range, this mid-channel, because, you know, Bitcoin is still in a channel. That's the sort of mid-level of the channel. Resistance from there, rejection, shooting star candle, and then you dive into the lower time frames. On the 4-hourly, you have this ascending bull flag, which over the weekend, obviously, you have low volatility, so you shouldn't be expecting much. But then going into 4 a.m. this morning, you start falling below it, and then everything sort of happens very quick. And that's the sort of situation that we're dealing with at this moment in time. Question is, what is next? Are we going to see a bounce from here? What is the overall sentiment? That I want to go into, and then I will go into Ethereum and some of my favorite altcoins. BNB is holding up incredibly well. Very, very impressed with BNB's price action. Ethereum looks quite interesting. We will get into Ethereum in a minute, but let's cover the Bitcoin, the question for Bitcoin. What is next in Crypto Kid's opinion? Okay, so let's delete everything right here. And to answer your question, I want to go into the daily time frame. I'm just going to quickly check the 1-hourly to see if there are any signs of reversal on the lower time frames, like the 1-hourly time frame. 1-hourly time frame just at the moment looks like this. It always sucks when it looks like this, right? It hurts the portfolio. We're here for the long term. I think the macro analysis that I'm going to share is going to be a bit more inspirational, so don't worry. We'll go into the macro in a minute. Let's try and go. The internet's not the best, but daily time frame. Let's see if it works. Come on, TradingView. Come on, TradingView. In the meantime, guys, if you destroy the likes, that would be very much appreciated. I'm checking into the chat. Buy gold and silver. Buy gold and silver. That's funny. When the crypto bros tell you to buy gold and silver, I think that's a sign of it truly being over. Well, on the daily, hold on a sec. Hold on a minute. On the daily, it doesn't look so horrible yet. If we can hold at this line of supports, then still you have a chance of recovery. So at this, you know, I really wouldn't be selling. Personally, I'm not selling. Nothing this stream is financial advice. Please do what you got to do. Please come to your own conclusions. But when I speak from my perspective, like, this to me is not a level to be selling. The bots, they're buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip. You can sign up to Pinex if you wish to do so. Second link in the description. Weeks is where I do my long-term positionings. The bot's already doing the buy the dip. On the Moonshow bot, it's doing it. It just has a wider range. And then on the CryptoKid, maybe I can log into that in a second too. On the CryptoKid bot, it bought all the way down to 12.5. So it did those buy orders. When you go into the daily time frame, it just doesn't look so bad. You know, you've got the support from the first week of August. You've got prior resistance turned into, well, now theoretically this should be turning into support. So on the daily, we're not so, it's not over yet. We're not in the phase of the market being it's so over yet. This drop, I think, made sense. You know, you had the bearish divergence. We spoke about it on the channel. We spoke about it on the Moon Show. And that's why I opened those bots. I think it was something to be expected. FOMC could have happened straight after FOMC, but I guess the market wanted to take its time to price in the neutrality of the interest rates. Powell is speaking tomorrow. I don't know at what conference, but we will go ahead and stream Powell on the Moon Show, because I think it will be interesting what he has to say. Will he be very different to his hawkish manner in FOMC? Will he be dovish? Will be a good one to look at. But until this daily flips with a daily confirmation below, I'm not too concerned. I think we're fine. In terms of stop losses, you guys know my positionings. It's the same old stuff. On the weekly time frame, when you go to the weekly, I'm just looking at the bull and bear market support band. Bull, bear market support band. When you look at the bull and bear market support band, currently the bull and bear is sitting at 109. We're testing the red EMA. Let's put that back. Settings. The SMA, the 20-week SMA is being tested. Good support overall. Really, there's very good amounts of support. This is why I wanted to buy the dip on Pinex, create those bots just in case we see this dip. That was the whole sort of purpose alongside my existing longs. When I go and look at the weekly time frame, I actually woke up this morning around 8 a.m., so 2.5 hours ago, and then I had to pack my stuff because I'm leaving to Dubai in just about an hour's time to the airport. And I looked at the Bitcoin chart briefly, and I saw this shooting star candle, and I was like, that doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And I was going to make my daily update right before I left, and I wanted to talk about this weekly candle, but unfortunately it just sort of played out much sooner than I expected. I didn't expect a Monday significant immediate drop like this one. But when we go into the weekly, the reason I didn't like this weekly shooting star is because in technical analysis, when you have a specific trend that's established, okay, and clearly in the micro timeframes, there is an upwards trend. When you have an established trend like that in micro timeframes, and then on the weekly, at the top of that trend, you get a shooting star candle, textbook like that one, which coincides with a potential lower high. It's not good. The moment the next candle, so this week's candle in this scenario, trades below the lower wick of that doji, and for us that was the 14.6, that's a time to say, all right, hold on a second. Let's be careful because we can see a bit more of a drop. So in context, that was basically about here. All right, but as soon as you lost that level, it was just so quick. You fell immediately to the downside. You dropped about 2.3%. So that was a quick one. That was a quick down. The good news is, like I mentioned, we're at very good support. 20-week simple moving average tested. Daily time frame, massive amounts of support. So in summary, is this a time to be panicking? I don't think so. I don't think it's a time to be panicking. Positions-wise, nothing is changing. I know things like this can be scary. I know things like this can end up being scary, but in terms of positioning, nothing changes. For me, nothing changes. I like this line of supports. I'm happy with what I see. My sentiment on this channel, which you can subscribe to for daily updates, would only be different if this line ends up breaking to the downside with a daily confirmation. Until or if that happens, I'm still happy. I opened the bots in preparation for this. Hopefully you guys got a chance to do that too. If you want to use these bots, second link in the description down below is Pinex. I know the altcoin positions may look like they're in a big negative, but actually that's sort of the point of these bots. When you expect a drop to the downside, the bot is going to buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. In the short term, there are going to be losses, but I open these bots with the expectation that in the macro, it's going to be, when you go into altcoin season, you go into profits, and that's when a DC is out for you. So that's the point with these bots. They don't want it to seem confusing. It has to go into a loss initially if you have the expectation that you're going to dip first, and then you buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. But in the long term, when I go to the next 5-6 months, the thought process is that Dogecoin in this example, my expectation is $1. So it would buy the dip. The liquidation for the bot is super, super low, right at 0.06. To me, like, I'm keeping this bot open, and then once the market reverses, whenever it wants to reverse, since the overall macro outlook is bullish, it doesn't matter if I go into losses in the short term because I'm going to take profits all the way up to $1. So I hope that makes sense. If I show you the details, you actually want to, with this bot, the idea is to go into losses initially to buy the dip, And that's why I put the leverage so low at 3x, because I know that's going to happen. So look, I have orders placed all the way down on Dogecoin to buy. Not saying it's going to happen, but potentially, if we go down to 0.13, it's still going to be buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip. But it will also be selling all the way up to, let's have a look at the exact parameters here. The upper limit is $1. So every time it initiates a buy order, then it initiates a corresponding sell order to the top side, all the way up to $1.1. So initially, it's going to go into a loss buying the dip. But then, when the markets start moving up and we go into altcoin season, and that's a topic we will touch on, then in the long term, that bot becomes profitable. So with trading bots, the concept is to keep it running for a long amount of time. That's how people usually use trading bots. It's a much more long-term strategy than a short-term strategy. That's the play I'm doing. So it's different to the traditional sort of positionings that I do on weeks, which they're all still open, no changes. If you want to sign up to Pinex or weeks, links are down below for both of them. Those weeks positions are normal derivatives positions that I go in and then I leave, and then there's a stop loss and I take profits. Bots, they're different. They have multiple buy orders and multiple sell orders, and they're good when there is a time of sort of uncertainty in exact price levels that you will drop or go up to, but you have a sort of range in mind which prices can drop or go up to, and you have a time frame in mind on what that can be, when that can be achieved. So it's a cool trading vehicle. I like it so far, and I'll keep on using them in future videos. Links are down below if you want to check them out. That's Bitcoin. Nothing much more to say. When you go to liquidations, we can have a look at the liquidity in the past 1 hour. It's pretty mind-blowing that in 1 hour alone, this doesn't happen in 1 hour. These numbers you don't see in the past 1 hour. These numbers occur in the past 24 hours. You don't see $310 million of liquidations on Ethereum in the past 1 hour. That's a number you're used to seeing in 24 hours time. And quite interestingly, in the past 24 hours, you've seen $494 million of long positions being liquidated on Ethereum, but 3/4 of it have happened in the past 1 hour. Unbelievable. So even though price has gone down by 2.5–3% only, in reality, there was so much leverage in the market. That's what we wanted to take out. So in that perspective, going into the Ethereum chart now and segueing onto Ethereum, when you look at the charts, I've been saying don't be scared of a drop to $4,000 on Ethereum. Do not be scared if Ethereum wants to go into that $4,000 range again, whether it's 4,000 exactly or just into that range. It doesn't really matter. Don't be scared if Ethereum goes into that $4,000 range once more. Why? Because that level for Ethereum is such an unbelievably important level. It's a very, very important level. It's a level that took Ethereum 1.5 years to go over before you could see the ultimate break to the upside, which caused us to almost hit, I mean, we did create a new all-time high, not inflation adjusted all-time high, but still an all-time high at 4.9K. It was great. The issue is we weren't in altcoin season. This was summer. We have September, the bearish September we're in to get over. In 9 days' time, thankfully it's October, but it was too early. You want Ethereum to be doing that breakout in October, not November. So it was a bit of a premature breakout. And I mentioned for multiple videos saying that if Ethereum is to drop to 4K, which I think it's very probable, don't be scared. Don't even be scared if Ethereum potentially drops all the way down to 3.5K. And what was the action that I took based off of that analysis? Let me quickly switch into my crypto kid. So this is the Moonshow Pinex account that I was using. So let me just have a look at the, let's go into weeks, because I want to show you my weeks position, and I want to show you my, the Pinex bot for, what you call it, Ethereum. So give me a second, guys. In the meantime, if you destroy the like button, that would be very much appreciated. I'm going to go into BNB. Don't worry, we're going to talk about the Aster coin that's very, very popular You can also let me know any sort of other coins that you want me to look at in the meantime in the chat. So as soon as I do the login, I will go ahead and go into those altcoins, and make sure to destroy the like button as you guys are coming in. We have 917 people watching, which is fantastic. Let's log in. Hold on. So I need to autofill. Then I'm going to scan QR code to log in. Let's see. Okay. Just logging into my trading account, guys. Give me a second here. Yep. Okay, so now if I go to the laptop, should work. 2FA is fantastic, but also sometimes very annoying. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do 2FA, but it's just inconvenient. Yes, I want to use this one next. Yep. Allow. Okay, allow, continue, next step. This is important, guys. Please stay tuned. This is very important that we look into these positions. Paste, allow paste, confirm. Okay, success. Success. So I just need to scan the QR codes, refresh, sign in. Okay, yep, perfect. We can switch the screen now. If I go to the futures bots in Ethereum, we should have an Ethereum position. Again, the Pengu stuff, like that's just going to buy the dip for me. I mentioned that Pengu is a little bit of a degenerate one. I wasn't too certain in the sort of very immediate outlook for Pengu. It's just I really like this huge cup and handle pattern, which is still valid. So if you notice, the Pengu position will keep on, the Pengu bot will keep on buying until this line of support at 0.27. Because if you fall below that 0.27 level, that's the point where this huge, not inverse head and shoulder, sorry, cup and handle becomes invalidated. So I still have this Pengu bot open. I will exit this Pengu bot if I go below, if I see the price go below 0.27. However, in the meantime, it still is active. So I'm going to keep that bot open. AVAX is profitable, which is nice. That's good. So the Ethereum bot, if you look at the Ethereum bot, don't be scared if Ethereum drops down to 3.5. Why is that the case? Benjamin Cohen is really convinced of the idea that Ethereum can retrace down to the bull and bear market support band, which thankfully every day the price of Ethereum is above the bull and bear market support band. It increases, it goes up. So the possibility of a significant drop reduces. Benjamin Cohen is really convinced that we're going to see a correction to this bull and bear market support band. But the reality is that going to happen? I will assess that. Okay, so first of all, when we go into the short term, the wick that was created on the second week of August is at $4,058. Today, we came down to about $4,070. I would still expect that wick to be filled either today or this week. So I'm still on the side that Ethereum actually goes and closes this range fully at $4,000. So scenario one is that Ethereum actually rebounds from here and then sees a continuation to the upside. That's scenario one. And in that case, the bot that we have open, the price range is to the downside, 3.5, and then to the upside, it's, we can check the parameters in detail. Detail, parameters, upper limit's 8,000. That's where I expect Ethereum to go up to. That can always change. If Ethereum looks more bullish, then we can change it to 10,000. If it looks more bearish, then we can change it down to 7,500. But if we look at the lower price, the lower limit is 3.365. Okay, and right now on the chart it shows only 3.5. If you drop all the way down there, then there's going to be new buy orders created until 3.365. And in the macro, it's going to create a corresponding sell order all the way up to 800 bucks. So another example that yes, in the short term, the spot would theoretically go into a loss because it's going to be buying the dip. But in the macro, because we expect $8,000, this is a macro bot to be keeping open for. I'll show you my weeks positions on weeks. I've been opening positions on Ethereum since 1.5, 1.6 thousand. This is just an additional trading vehicle on top of the traditional derivatives positions that I've been opening. So anyways, if I go to the derivatives charts, when I look at Ethereum and we press it, it will keep buying the dip. And it's already bought some dips, by the way. During this drop, it's automatically already scooped up Ethereum during this wick. So it's already bought in, right? Which is great. There's something super important though on this short-term time frame. So when you go into the short-term time frame, I highlighted that so far, before we saw this drop this morning, the price action is in the formation of a bullish pennant. But if you lose the support at $4,000, which is right here, that quickly changes into a triple top from a bullish pennant. Let me repeat that. In the 4-hourly time frame, until about 4 hours ago on this current terrible exhaustion selling candle, not exhaustion, but terrible selling candle, this appeared to be a bullish pennant, correct? But now that you've seen this drop, if you drop further below than 4,070, which we've come down to, but price is making its way back to the upside because we've taken a lot in liquidity. If you fall below 480, that's when this converts into a triple top. Triple tops, they're horrible. And in that event, the $4,000 support, there's a very good chance that it gets broken to the downside. So where next would you go from $4,000? Straight to the bull and bear market support band, 3.365, 3.5? Here's the answer. Here's the answer. Give me a moment. Let me just open the week's account too, because I have a limit buy order to buy Ethereum at 3.9 due to a lot of liquidity piling up at that level. We can check the liquidity charts as well. So futures, Marriott Bonvoy are going to be so upset. I'm just draining their Wi-Fi. I've been streaming on Friday and made a bunch of content over the weekend. I think they're going to be super upset because the last time I checked, their pricing for Wi-Fi was just so extravagantly high. But it is what it is. And the Wi-Fi is so slow. I can't wait to go back to Dubai. Actually, in Dubai, the Wi-Fi is also bad because some issue happened on the cables underwater. And because of that, they're expecting another 5 weeks of slow Wi-Fi. And when you're a crypto guy, Wi-Fi is sort of the most important thing, especially when you do streams and when you make content. Okay, come on, weeks. I know, the Wi-Fi is horrible, I get it. But, okay, perfect. Log in. The 2FA shenanigans again, we're gonna have to do, so give me a moment. Log in. Scan QR code. Yep, QR code. Select 3 images with a cat. Now it's testing if I'm a robot or not. I passed 98% of users. Amazing. Okay, Face ID, yes. Yes, allow. Next. Again, robot test. Solve the puzzle. No, this is the select in order. Okay. I beat 43% of users. Still not bad. 2FA, allow, paste, confirm. I know I'm complaining about this, but really guys, if you don't have 2FA in your accounts, it's just so important that you do have it because even though it may be painful to sign in, it protects you from getting hacked. And that's worth anything. That's worth all the pain that we had to go through over the past 1 minute, which in hindsight really isn't too painful. Okay, so if I share screen, we're logged in. We're just gonna have to wait for this to load. Come on, man. Futures, Bitcoin, USDT. It'll be there, it'll get there. We'll just wait for it to load. But in the meantime, the reason that I wanted to bring the week's chart is because I have a limit order to buy at 3.9. So at 3.9, when you go to the liquidity, I use the CoinGlass. For anybody asking or wondering what tool that I use to assess liquidity, I go to coinglass.com and we got to go to the liquidation data, heat map. On the heat map, I scroll to the symbol, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and let's go to the 3-month in this instance. This is also struggling. Look, okay, so good news is we took out a bunch of liquidity that was piling up at 4.2. That's the good news. Okay, so that's good news number one. If we zoom out to the 6-month, you're going to notice that the point that we're in, the range that we're in, there isn't much happening. Okay, so there isn't much happening. There isn't much liquidity until about the 3.5 level. I know it says 5 million, but if we go to pair Ethereum USDT perpetual on Binance, should be way more. 6-month, come on. Right, so when you go to the Binance chart, look, most liquidity is between 3.6. You have a bunch still at exactly 4,000. That's too far away. But so far, most of the liquidity is sitting at about 3.6 down to the lower 3.6. If I go 1 year, I'm curious to see what we're going to find out on the 1 year. On the 1 year, yeah, 3.6 looks like to be the level for now. So that's the reason on this on the week's charts, we can go to Ethereum. Initially, just a dollar cost average into these positions that I've been opening on Ethereum specifically since 1.5, 1.6. You're going to see that in a minute here. Come on. We waited for Bitcoin, now we're going to wait for Ethereum. I'm curious what the chat is saying. Let me know, guys. What do you think? Yeah, so the hacking thing, it's 2FA. You know, if you are a content creator, for example, in my case, and your password for some reason by accident or your email address is somehow revealed, then you at least have 2FA to protect you from that. If you're not really a content creator or streamer, the probability of that happening is lower unless your email address is somehow leaked and people can guess your password. In general, 2FA is a very good thing to protect your account. Yeah, DJ says altcoins aren't dead. Q4 will be big upside. I completely agree. BNB I'm going to get into in a minute. We'll just cover Ethereum first, and then we'll get into Ethereum. Don't worry. The volume is too massive for manipulation. I agree. Like, there's just so much volume leading into this dump. Yeah, I don't think this is manipulation. We can check the CME charts. Also, I checked last night. There wasn't too big of a gap. Ethereum, did you load? Yeah, you did. Perfect. So look, we've been buying Ethereum since 1.5, 1.6 thousand, $2,200, $3,000, 3.2, 3.9. That's the limit order. Sorry. So we've been buying mostly between 1.5 to 3.2 thousand dollars. And I do have a limit order to do a dollar cost average into Ethereum on weeks, which you can sign up to and trade using the first link in the description down below, because I personally think it's the best place to be doing normal derivatives trading, and then Pinex is the place I do the bot trading. So look, I think 3.9 is a good level wide to dollar cost average. That's important to note for DCAing. You have these highs created that gave us a rejection in the final week of July. Then we dipped to 3.4, 3.3, and then rocketed to new all-time highs. So that's a good level for me. Even back in December of 2024, when we had small altcoin season, that was a level that Ethereum got rejected from. And look, you go to May of 2024 also, 3.9 was also a fantastic level. On the macro timeframes, it seems like 4K because of the wicks, but actually even the one prior in March of 2024, when Bitcoin went to $71,000 for the first time, you got over 3.9, found support, but then broke below it. So actually, the real level to be looking out for, yes, 4K in the macro time frame seems like the level, but when you zoom into the shorter term time frames, it's actually 3.9. That's the critical point. And for me, I actually really want to do a DCA at 3.9 because, yeah, I know that Benjamin Cohen, I get it, he expects the bull and bear market support band, but 3.9 would just be so awesome. It would be so awesome. The bullish pennant is invalidated, like I said. Very sad. And to me, this is a triple top. Let's see, we still have some hopium to hold that $4,000 level, but if that's broken, then I know it's a small range, but I think 3.9 is going to take place. That's only a DCA, and then theoretically another DCA I should open, but sadly I'm fully allocated on this account into existing positions. I think another level to open would be at that 3.35 level. So if you were to do that, then obviously you would go to Ethereum after you create your account. You would choose your leverage, isolated or cross margin. I only use isolated. I only like risking the money that I put into a position. I don't like risking my whole account like what people do with cross. I only do isolated. Then price, you would go to limits. So I have at 3.9. If you want to do 3.9, then you would put 3.9. Then the amount in USDT, let's say, I don't know, $500, 7x leverage. Then you would click open long, and then that's gonna, if you have money, then it will say confirm, and then you'll go into a position. But right now I'm just fully allocated, so that's why I started, doing the trading bots on the side, because for the trading challenge, which was initially a $5,000 trading challenge, we're up massively from that. I wanted to, I'm fully allocated into Bitcoin, into altcoin positions. So I don't see any point adding more money at the moment to this account. This is just for the channel. But in my personal account, I'm going to be buying actually at 3.4. Also, the bot is going to be buying until 3.3, 3.4. For Ethereum, look, it goes all the way down to the 3.4 level. But in the parameters, it's just, you can't have so many orders in one shot. So it will actually place those orders all the way down if it goes to 3.5 this one, but the parameters are, look, 3.365. So that's the level, that's the final level that's going to be buying Ethereum. So yeah, that's the strategy I'm rooting for. So 3.9 is one level I'm going to be buying, and then another level would be at that support line, which is also very good historically speaking from those levels especially. And that's the 3,350. So another position you could set would be 3,350 if you wish to do so, obviously. You would select your amount in USDT, select your leverage, limit, open long, and then boom. It would open you a limit order. Really don't like how this looks in the short term, right? When we talk about the macro, yes, 4K, Ethereum will follow the Bitcoin correlation, so on and so forth. I get it. I'm very confident in October, November, confident in Q1. I'm confident in this Bitcoin Ethereum catch-up trade. I think we're going to do it. I think we can reach $8,000. So I have full confidence in that. That's the macro picture. That's why overall I'm long. But when you zoom into the short-term picture, I mean, I do see that drop happening really to those 3.9 levels. And then even 3.3, I wouldn't discount. I wouldn't put off the table so much because, look, choppy consolidation, Bart Simpson plus triple top, and then you have the very good potential of turning this into a head and shoulder. Doesn't mean it's going to break down, but still forming that pattern, I think it looks on the more probable side. So just watch out. If you have any massive Ethereum long positions, I would just, make sure to take a look at the chart and reevaluate everything and then decide what you want to do. But in the short term, Ethereum doesn't look great. Hopefully, we can bounce from here, obviously, because I'm massively long, right? I would love to do DCAs more on the downside, but if prices go up, it's better. But if it does go down, then the only thing I'm going to be doing is DCAing. Unlike Bitcoin, if you were to fall below 107, I'm not going to be closing these Ethereum positions, because even if Bitcoin tops out, I still expect some sort of an altcoin season to take place in Q4. Talking about altcoin season, I think we can get into the altcoin season, BNB, and the other coins that you guys wanted to know about. So let's commence with, I think, the total The total 2 crypto chart is a good one to look into. Again, in the macro, looks beautiful. Total 3 this is. This is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Looks fantastic, looks amazing, looks great, very bullish. But you have to break above the resistance created at 1.17. If you don't break above that resistance, then you're just going to struggle until it eventually does. And I think it eventually will break to the upside. Doesn't mean, but it's just the question is, will you drop to bull and bear market support band? Will you drop to support again and then break to the upside? Overall, I think it's going to break to the upside. So I don't care. I bought a bunch of Cardano, for example, on Saturday, because I just, a mistake that I see most people doing is they expect pumps or dumps. So they try to time the market exactly, but whilst trying to do that, they have no exposure in the market. So I'm a sort of person that likes to be exposed anyways, because I look at the macro picture. If I see the macro being bullish, then even if in the short term you can see a potential drop, I still buy, and I do the same in the vice versa. If in the short term something can pump, but the macro looks bearish, I sell. And with altcoins specifically, the picture to me is clear. I think altcoins will go up. So I'm buying. I don't care if the total 3 even drops to the $900 billion zone. To me, it wouldn't matter so much because the macro picture is so clear. But overall, I don't think it's necessary to focus here in the short term. For this specific chart, for altcoins individually, we can do that. But overall, I'm still confident in the concept of altcoin season, even though it won't be the same magnitude due to liquidity reasons as 2020, 2021. I'm overall confident that we will get something. Maybe if it's not 10x's all across the board, a 2x, a 3x, a 4x on some of our favorite large caps, I think will take place. So what are those large caps? BNB obviously has been rocketing. One of the major reasons I made a BNB video yesterday, one of the major reasons why I think BNB will do so well is, first of all, the inverse head and shoulder that we predicted on this channel. We've been making videos on this BNB breakout as it was breaking to the upside of this inverse head and shoulder neckline. And even at that point of retest, this was late July, and we jumped into some BNB positionings, very small, but when you mark it to the take profit at 1,250, at 1,252, then still those profits are okay, because nominally BNB is so large. The nominal value, even at that point, it was $800, and from 800 to 1,252, it's a 60% run to the upside, and I don't like to go crazy leverage with these altcoins. So if we can reach 1,252 or 1,250 or 1,200, those positions will be good. It will be decent, profitable positions. At the moment, so far, since that retest, we've still gone up like 40% or 35% after the drop, which isn't too bad. And I'm not going to take profits until that 1,250 area. Maybe at 1,200 I'll take profits. It'll just depend on how the chart looks. But I think we can see an increase to that point. Is it going to be in September? Is it going to be in October? Is it going to be in November? That I can't tell you. But I'm confident in the target of this macro inverse head and shoulder. And the 1,200 region is where we're pointing towards. Apart from the technicals, this Aster coin, the Aster DEX narrative, that's been something that's exploded. It's down 22% on the day. I was considering to make a video last night saying, I'm not buying Aster, just simply because I don't like the tokenomics behind it. The tokenomics is, it's not something that I usually invest into, right? There's so much of airdrops that are going to be happening in the long term. And I just don't see the incentive of keeping these tokens. It's not really a good enough incentive for me. So in my opinion, just because of how much unlocks are going to be happening over the next few months to years, there's always going to be constant incentive to sell, sell, sell. And with these things, if you don't get in while it's becoming popular and it's trendy, it's too late. And what it links with BNB is that Aster DEX is obviously a DEX primarily on BNB. It's an interoperable decentralized exchange. It works on Ethereum, it works on Solana. But if you want to get exposure into this sort of DEX thing and this Aster coin, then it causes people to have some sort of BNB in their holdings to pay for gas fees and use the whole BNB ecosystem with this Aster coin. That's why the price action is also seeing an increase to the upside. I think there's still some more time to go. I think 1,250 is the ultimate approach for BNB coin. Some other altcoins, when AVAX you saw in terms of bots, they're still profitable. Again, even if it goes into a loss in the short term, it doesn't matter, because actually I want to see AVAX go lower in the short term. I would love if we can see AVAX come down to the 26 level. That should be where the bot is going to be accumulating towards, and I have an even more macro bot where it would be buying all the way down to the worst case possible scenario in my analysis of $17. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's more likely that AVAX rebounds from this W formation's neckline at $24.67. So I have bots on Pinex, which you can sign up to using the second link, and for weeks it's the first link, which will buy AVAX all the way to the neckline of that W formation. And then overall, when you look at the macro picture, macro analysis always beats short-term analysis. You have a bull flag that's happening within a huge bullish pennant. AVAX is an RWA project. It has its own ETFs already listing from the Bitwise as the grayscales, which are not BlackRocks and Fidelities, but still, they're pretty decent. Macro in altcoin season, AVAX I see to be a winner. Before I go into the community altcoins, maybe we can cover one more, which is Cardano. Cardano is a project that I bought in just Saturday. I went in and bought quite a good amount in my personal spot trading account on Saturday. And we've spoken about this. The expectation still remains the same. I think ADA is copying what it did in the last cycle, or not last cycle, last year. Look, huge descending trend line. You break above it and then boom. In just a matter of 1 month, ADA goes up by 270%. We're in the same sort of consolidation periods, trend line. As soon as we can break above this trend line at the 0.91, 0.89 level, I think we're going to do a similar sort of move to the upside, because it would be Q4 altcoin season. From a cycle perspective, it makes sense. From a TA perspective, it would also make sense. On weeks, I should have opened a Cardano position. Let's have a look. Cardano ADA. Yeah, so still profitable. Yeah, there we go. So this one is still, oh, that's a limit order. We're break even on the long I opened, but I do have a limit order to buy on Cardano, which it just got missed. I hate it when that happens. So it just missed it by like $0.01. It is what it is. I think we can still come down to that level. So that's another point where I want to accumulate Cardano in the long run. It's going to be a low leverage position simply because you can come lower to the downside, but the macro looks bullish. So I want to be in Cardano rather than staying on the sidelines. Do I have a Pinex spot? I don't think so. Maybe I can open one tonight on the Moon Show, so stay tuned for that. But those are the altcoins that I was curious about. So that's the update there. Now I'll go into the chat and we'll try to highlight some of the altcoins that you guys want me to go into. 17 AVAX will be horrible. Yes, I know. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's just like absolute worst case scenario. So if I look at my AVAX spot, we go to the parameters. It's either this one or it must be on the Moon Show Pinex account. But look, for this one, the lower limit is $26. On the Moon Show one, it's $16 or $17. Futures, if I go to futures bot and we just switch to the AVAX charts, look, it's just going to buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Like I said, I think the more realistic target is the neckline of that W formation as a potential drop. So look, it's already bought in. It will likely buy more as AVAX goes to the downside, and then it will take profit and sell all the way to the upside. On the Moonshow bot, I just have my range wider, just in case. Worst possible scenario, AVAX comes down to that 17 mark. Worst case possible scenario. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it does, it would still be buying the dip. And then macro, I think over $100 AVAX for this cycle is on the table. What is your ADA price prediction? Well, if we go to Cardano, with these sort of trend reversal trade ideas, exact price targets are difficult. I think it's better if we go to ADA USD and check the longer time frame charts. Let's give it a minute to load. This was another set of analysis that I conducted on Cardano in July or August. Let me find the tweet, because that tweet did very well. I'm very proud of that picture. Let's go to Twitter and look at that ADA chart. I didn't go onto Twitter. I'm sure Twitter is freaking out. And usually in times like this, just guys, please avoid Twitter, because everybody's so emotional. On Twitter, everyone's emotional. And it's so obvious when sentiment has capitulated. Well, one good thing about going to Twitter in times of massive euphoria in price action or massive fear in price action is you can tell very easily, when sentiment is capitulated and when sentiment is in euphoria. Because on Twitter, if you scroll, you're just going to notice everybody's like, it's over and oh no and whatnot. But when it's the opposite, like, it's a good way to time the sentiment. Quite interestingly enough, last night, before this market dump, before Aster specifically went down by 22%, Mr. Beast was known to go into this Aster coin alongside CZ. Look, he closed his Aster position for a loss of 20K, but he avoided a 20% drop. So did he know something? And we know that Mr. Beast has been involved in some insider potential crypto things before. Celebrities, just Web2 celebrities, if they promote anything, if they look into something, if it's not Bitcoin and Ethereum, please stay away. Like, you may have not been in the previous cycle, but it always ends up being a horrible disaster. People that promote Bitcoin and they actually get Bitcoin, amazing, but when they go into these coins and whatnot, even if this Aster Dex is a legitimate product, a competitor to Hyperliquid, it's not a good sign when this happens, right? So if I go to my profile, an AVAX price comparison that I conducted was right here, August the 14th. Look at this chart. When you look at this chart, it looks exactly the same. Prior cycle, huge W formation, retest to the neckline, massive pump. Look at this cycle. W formation, pump, retest to the neckline, Q4, explosion time. Does it not make sense? I think it makes so much sense. And when I go to Bitcoin and we compare Bitcoin to the last cycle, look at this, right? Get ready to be mind blown. And then we'll do 2 more altcoins, and then I have to go because my checkout is in 45 minutes. I still need to finish packing some things. I have a call. I have to shower, get changed. So let's do 2 more altcoins if that's okay with you. And then tonight when I land back to Dubai, I'll do a second update. So stay tuned on the channel. But look at Bitcoin. So look, Bitcoin last cycle around the times that we're at. Then we can do the comparison. So that's January. Look, January. Okay, price goes up, capitulation. Price goes back up, consolidates, goes up, goes down, and then Q4 to Q1, right? Now look at this. Price goes up, capitulation, tariffs, price goes up, consolidation, pump, dump. Does that make sense? Let me change it from line from dotted to line, so it's a bit more clearer for you to see the comparison line. Get rid of the brushes. Brush, yeah, trend line, you can go. So look at this. Does it not look similar? The dumps and the pumps, it's not going to be the same magnitude, obviously. But if you look at the overall picture, you go up, you come down, you go back up, you consolidate, pump, dump. Now look at this. Go up, capitulate, that was COVID, this was tariffs, you go up again, consolidate, you pump, you dump, this is where we are. This is the question mark. And I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a 6 times rally like what happened in 2021, 2020. But can we reach 135, 145, 150? That I'm optimistic about. As I said, September is horrible. But Pumptober, when you go into Pumptober, Bitcoin monthly price performance, historical returns, share screen. Pumptober is 9 days away. Monthly return in September is always horrible. September is still up 5.7%, even with this drop. Keep that in mind. But October and November is when the real fun starts. Look at all the average returns on every single month for Bitcoin. Jan is 3.8%, Feb is 13.1%, January, February, March is 12.2%, April 13%. I feel like I'm like a kindergarten exam. May 8%, June negative 0.14%, July up 7%, August up 1%. September is the only negative on average. And then the fun begins in Pump October and Moonvember, up 21%, up 46%. So where September may be a little bit upsetting, those 2 months I think will be very good. We'll see that final rally to the upside for Bitcoin. Altcoins do what they want to do, and then we call it a cycle, and then we move to AI. I was at the Red Bull paddock, and actually, you know what? I'm super impressed with what these guys do. So I had a fantastic weekend in Baku watching the F1. What a race that was. It was a pretty cool race. I think these Red Bull guys are so impressive. Like, you know, maybe in the bear market, getting a full-time job as the guy that changed the tires on Max Verstappen's car. Doesn't sound like a terrible idea. But jokes aside, hopefully we can make good enough money where we don't have to have those backup plans during the bear markets. So just the next few months, if we can lock in, concentrate, I think it's all going to be worth it. Jet says, I hate crypto. Dude, don't hate crypto. This is nothing. This is a 2% drop. This is nothing. It's nothing. There's no need to worry. It's a 2% drop, dude. 2% drop. Can I look at Pump and Fartcoin? Yeah, for you, Omar, I'll take a look. But honestly, is my analysis on Pump and Fartcoin going to be so effective? I'm not sure. Like, look at this. We can't even look into the weekly time frame. This is what I mean in terms of effectiveness. Like, you can't even zoom out. That's the issue. Daily time frame. If we just look at basic support, I guess, we can do a Fibonacci. Golden pocket is between the range of 0. So that's 0.04 to 0.048, so 46 to 48. And yeah, you do have some historical, even though it's not really so significant, some resistance there and a consolidation here. So I would be looking at worst case, this golden pocket as a place to buy the dip. If you don't have Pump already, then that's the place I would be buying. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but from very basic Fibonacci analysis, because there isn't much you can do here, I would be looking at that. Let's see, if we can get a sign of reversal on daily candle, so far the trend is very much red, then we can talk about it again. So Omar, remind me on the Moon Show. We can take a look at Pump one more time. Fartcoin. What I'm about to say is very satire, so full disclaimer. Fartcoin, the greatest investment, right, in human history? No, that's a joke. This thing is funny, man. Sometimes it pumps like 50%, and like, honestly, guys, don't make me do analysis on Fartcoin because there's no fundamentals behind this thing. It's going to go to zero eventually, so why bother, right? That's how I like to look at things. Solana 300 by mid-October. I'm still expecting $500 for Solana. AVAX holding down the fort strong. Yes, AVAX is holding the fort. AVAX and BNB. Yeah, we can take a look at Solana, and then guys, I need to go. I need to go after Solana. So I do apologize. I wish I could stay for longer, but it's just they will kick me out of my room if I don't go. Look, Solana, look at the beautiful macro picture for Solana. It just looks so amazing. It looks so fantastic, so great, so beautiful. Yeah, you're getting a small correction here, but does it really matter? No, it doesn't. Not in my opinion. I think Solana is looking very good. Remember, Solana, compared to the last cycle when Solana was at $200 something, in that $200 range, compared to now when we're at those same prices, this was a point where the market cap was 50% less, so there was much less supply. Solana was much more scarce in relative to today's price action, and even though that's the case, even though we went up by 100% in market cap, prices are still strong, and this is pre-altcoin season. So there's clear demand for Solana. That's what I like. You know, the Solana ETFs, they're starting to look good. I think $500 is possible. I'm not searching for $1,000. I'm not like other people. I don't go crazy with my predictions. I want to take profits. Last cycle, I messed up. That's on me. I was very inexperienced. But this cycle, the objective is to take profits, not screenshots. So if I see Solana going to the $500 range, that's it, gone. I'm selling. I'm gonna sell. Why should I keep it? Doesn't make sense. I want to take profits. I'm going to take profits in the cycle. I know people say, yeah, but everybody's going to take profits, so that's where super cycle. Doesn't matter. I want to have real physical cash, not some numbers on a screen this time. I think it's important that people consider doing that. So guys, with that said, thank you so much for tuning in. Unfortunately, I have to go. Like, I really want to stay longer, but it's 11:21 a.m. 12 p.m. is my checkout. If I don't pack my stuff and leave, I'm gonna get kicked out. So let me do that, and then my flight is around 4 p.m. So I'll make an update in the nighttime when I come back to Dubai. So stay tuned. Subscribe if you're not a crypto kid. Guys, have a fantastic afternoon. Don't worry. This is fine. It's okay. This is nothing. So don't worry. Everything will be fine. Enjoy life. Don't stress. Keep hodling. Keep dollar cost averaging, and you'll be okay. Guys, take care. Wishing you all a fantastic afternoon. Love you all, and I'll see you all very soon on the channel tonight. Bye-bye, guys.